Bargain property in Perth. Let's have a look. Good morning everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your morning stein of coffee because we're going to need it. Perth is apparently going to be the property hotspot, the bargain place to jump into after the economy recovers and everything gets back to normal. Let's have a look at this article written by Jason Murphy because, well, I think it's going to be interesting. What do you think before we jump into it? Before we look at this, let's go over to the property data room. Now, this is a great source of some data about the economy and properties because, well, it's from the Property Council, isn't it? And we can see here on residential, let's have a look at what the median property price is, house value, in Perth. And you can see here, 475,000. This is from the 30th of April. The median value. Some people were saying this was the average. No, it was the median. Look at Hobart, 500. And this is one thing Jason mentions in the first sentence here, is that Hobart is now more expensive than Perth. Hobart is now more expensive than Perth. Now, for those of you that are overseas, we do have a few overseas watchers. And I'll just bring up this map here. This is showing flights of the world, but it's good to just show you the difference. Here we have Perth, and here we have Hobart. Now, Hobart is a beautiful city, but it's very cold, and property was always quite expensive. Here you have Launceston as well. And an interesting thing. Do you think, and off topic here, but do you think an international cryptocurrency business would set up their head office in a suburban house in Launceston? Do you think that might be a sign that it might be a con? Because it was. It's falling apart. The idiot who set it up, I'm going, why are you in Lonnie? Is there even an international airport in Launceston? It's a bit of a joke. Beer's great. They've got the brewery in Lonnie. But I'm not talking about Launceston. Actually, I should have a look. We should look at what property prices are in different cities around Australia. That may be a good idea for a live stream. What do you know? Let me know if you're interested in that. So Hobart is now more expensive than Perth. Now, Perth, you've got a whole lot of mining in there. Western Australia is a big part of the Australian economy. Just look at the flight activity over Perth. And you know what? We'll bring up another one. We'll bring up another chart, I think, which will show just the difference in the capital cities and the states. We'll bring up this map. Now, this is showing us marine traffic, and it's meant to be reasonably up to date when it loads up. Come on, you can do it. Come on, NBN. I'm going to have a stein of coffee while we wait. Good morning coffee. So we can see here, have a look. Look at all the ships coming to and fro from Western Australia. Look at Port Hedland, guys. There you go. You've got a vessel. Let's look at the vessel, a bulk carrier. So a bulk carrier, the Conrad. What state is that? Is that Liberia? Is that a Liberian flagged ship? Where does it tell me? Latest position, using engines underway. It's going at 9.3 knots. Or 8 knots right now. It's the average speed. So, there you go. Bulk carrier. Yep, from Liberia. Oh, Liberia, the African nation that has the same constitution as America, and people eat each other. Fantastic. You can do a whole case study on that. But to make my point, I'm going off topic like I always tend to do. If we compare, and stop playing around looking at bloody ships, Florian, that's not what people are here for. If we compare just the amount of ship traffic from Western Australia compared to Tasmania, bit quieter there, isn't it? Bit quieter there as well. We've got a few bulk carriers coming through. There we go. I mean, that's one of the ferries going across, isn't it? It's not really a cargo ship, is it? Another ferry going across. At least they're flagged as Australian ships, which is good to see. But that'd be one argument. Why maybe there might be a bit more demand for Perth. All the businesses basing here because they've got presence in the regions of Western Australia. So with that, let's jump in and have a look at this, because Jason's arguing that Perth is set to be the market for cheap house prices after the pandemic. Because Perth, well, their property has taken a hit for a while. And some people in the comments have been saying that property has been heating up over in Western Australia. It's another asset. It's another, I know property is overvalued, but physical house is a physical asset. If you're worried about hyperinflation, it's another place to store your asset, your money for the long term. House prices have fallen there for years, and as big houses go for a steal, this could be a sweet spot for a post-pandemic lifestyle. Well, maybe he's right, actually. If I look at the cost of houses over there, what people are getting for their money, compared to even for me in Queensland here, if we were to sell up and go over, I mean, you'd have to go to WA, but at least they've got a secessionist movement right over there. That's going to grow. So Perth's property prices have been falling for a while, but now even Hobart is more expensive. I almost can't believe it. A huge shift has happened. Hobart lifted itself up, so its houses cost more than houses in Perth, as the next graph shows. Sydney is included to show the other end of the spectrum. A David and Goliath struggle has ended with the capital of the tiniest state somehow overtaking the capital of the biggest state. I mean, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. Green and gold, the Australian colours. Wow. Even apartments in Hobart. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Hobart. It's a beautiful city. It really is. You know what? I should organise a holiday down to Tassie with the family. We should do the road trip, drive all the way down there, and go up in the countryside. Maybe in summer. Perth's prices remain ahead of Adelaide, but only by the faintest of margins. Perth's house prices have been falling for a long time, as depicted in the next graph, while it's still possible to shout bubble at prices in Sydney and Melbourne. The same is not true of Perth, where prices are roughly where they were in 2007. The downside risk of a Perth house purchase has to be quite low, and that has to be attractive in our current era when nobody is sure what will happen next. I mean, here's the consideration as well now. We're in you probably can't even go to Perth to buy your house, but if the borders are open, if you're working remotely, could you work from Perth? And when we looked at a few projects over in Perth for some of the companies we were working on, none of them ever got off the ground because they were tendering for different jobs. But you could do it remotely. Some people can't though, but there's opportunities over there. So why would you move to Perth? After all, property prices aren't everything. The answer is that Perth is a serious city with 2 million residents and a fairly healthy economy. The mining boom is not what it was, admittedly, but iron ore prices are still above 100 a tonne, which is historically very high. As the world recovers from the pandemic, iron ore and energy exports are likely to pick up again, which spreads wealth through the state of Western Australia. And what I'll do is I'll bring up a map to show you just how much of our iron ore mining is concentrated in WA if you haven't seen it. It's a bit of a shock the first time. Western Australia has higher unemployment than most other states at the moment, it's true, but it also has jobs on offer. There are 14,400 jobs advertised in Perth at the moment, according to the official Australian government vacancy reports. And we'll jump over here. This has just come up. This is Google Earth. This is operating mines in Australia. And you can see here I'll toggle iron ore mines off and on. Look at that. Look how many are in. There's one in New South Wales, is there? There you go. Look how many in WA. How many are in Adelaide? There we go. Good old Adelaide. Tasmania. What am I getting confused? There you go. Let's have a look at where's the silver mines. That's where our silver mines located. There you go. We don't have that many along the east coast. Even some down in Tassie. So that's more jobs advertised per person in Perth than in Sydney or Melbourne. WA also offers higher wages. In the most recent data, average weekly full-time earnings in WA were 1,778, substantially higher than New South Wales at 1,680 and Victoria at 1,647. Those wages apply for the state of state of WA at large, and we know some people earn a lot of money working outside of Perth. What about the city itself? To get information on the capital city, we can go back to the 2016 census. Perth median weekly household income was admittedly lower than Sydney's household income at $1,643 versus $1,799. Weekly household income is lower by $156, but the median mortgage was lower by 167, so that balances out. And remember, property prices are lower in Perth than they were in 2016, but higher elsewhere. Speaking of mortgages, let's look at just what it means to pay less for housing. In Sydney, the median house price of around $900,000, you can buy this 4-bedroom home 47 kilometers from the CBD. I mean, a specky. A specky for $1 million, guys. A specky for $1 million. 900 grand, you know. What's 100,000 between friends? $1 million for a specky. Bloody hell. But the same money in Perth, you can have this 4-bedroom house 4.8 kilometers from the CBD. I mean, look at the difference. Look at the difference. That's a lot of commuting time you can save. What are you going to do with it? The answer is probably go outside. This is where Perth does especially well. Lifestyle. It's the hours of sunshine champion. Whether you like the beach or just want to extract value from your solar panels, you can't deny Perth gets a lot of hours of sunshine. Annually, it averages over 8 hours a day, which is more than Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Hobart and Adelaide. In summer, it gets over 10 hours, as the next map shows. You can see there. We're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad here in Brizzy. There you go. I mean, is this a paid sponsorship for Perth? Has the Western Australian government hired Jason to write this article? Or maybe he's just making his plans and is justifying it. You know, justifying it so he can head over there. You know. We're not talking hours of daylight here, but actually blue skies. The Bureau of Meteorology uses a literal crystal ball to measure daily sunshine hours. They place the ball, known as the Campbell-Stokes sunshine recorder, outside and place a piece of card under it. If the sun is out, the ball focuses the sunlight's rays and burns a mark on the card. While Melbourne cards stay virginal and pure, in Perth the cards crisp up. Well, there you go. There's a little interesting tidbit. Western Australia has done a great job dealing with the pandemic. Almost all of its cases were returned travellers, and it currently has just 5 active cases. While recovery will be tough everywhere, places that deal with the virus best are likely to make recovery sooner and stronger, having shorter lockdowns and attracting more tourists. Don't be surprised if after the pandemic, people, start moving west. Well, maybe. I mean, Perth also, it is a very isolated city. It's isn't it one of the most remote cities in the world, everyone? If we just bring up here. Come on. There you go. Yeah, it's pretty remote. So what do you think? Do you think Perth is the new hotspot for property? Would it be something you would consider moving to? If you can work remotely, why couldn't you work remotely in Perth? Longer sunshine, less cost, better housing. I'm tempted. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content we create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode.